G'day everyone, welcome to People with a Passion. I'm here today with Sam Larkins, who's actually a skateboarder.
Yeah, more or less.
More or less. So, how are you, mate? You good?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. Thanks for coming in and spending some time to talk about your passion of skateboarding. So, when did it all start for you? When did you come into your first skateboard, mate? How old were you?
I mean, pretty blurry on this, to be honest, but I think around the age of about 10 or 11, just got a skateboard, as normal kids do, through like a birthday or something like that. And then just basically started trying to ride it, and then just went to the skate park naturally, and then that's how I got into it from there.
Yeah, and fell off it occasionally, I imagine.
Most definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Was it a good skateboard, your first one? Do you remember your first one?
It was actually, well, I mean, there's a skateboard always around the house. And when I was a bit younger, that was like an old school kind of shape. It was like a square tail and no nose kind of thing. And then when I got my first skateboard that I was kind of into it about was like a proper shop skateboard, like the skate shop board, and then the trucks and wheels. So yeah, it was a good skateboard.
And did you throw that together, or was it a one that actually come all in one piece, that second one?
I believe so. It was a present, the second one.
Yes.
So, it was like just a normal skate shop, like their board with trucks and wheels. So it was a good board.
So when you first started, did you just skate on your own? Like when you first got your first board, was it all just about you and the board?
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't know anything about skateboarding. I didn't know what tricks were. I didn't know how any of it worked. I just basically skated at home and then, like, just on the road and stuff, and just trying to learn from that, doing that.
So obviously that's how most people would start. I've seen a few people fall off a skateboard in my time too, including myself. So what sort of gets you interested from just being on the street and that? Like, did you start to find like-minded people, or did your parents take you down to the skate park? How'd the journey go to the next step?
Right. Well, I had a godparent at the time, or still do, and she got me a video for my birthday. I just watched that a bunch, and then, also my dad took me down to the skate park, and then seeing people down there and being able to fly around the skate park and do whatever they wanted with their board was really appealing. So just started doing that, and then just slowly progressing, going more and more to the skate park.
And did you find that once you connected with others that were into the skating, that you sort of get wrapped up in a little bit of that culture early of guys showing tricks and sharing? How much of that sort of goes on from older guys to younger guys?
I'd say a lot of it. It definitely makes it more appealing as well. You see like an older dude that's, encouraging you to learn tricks and stuff like that, and teaching you, just giving you little pointers along the way, and it also makes it more fun, because if you're with people, like doing, what you like, it's going to always be more fun in my eyes anyway.
Yeah. So your journey, your dad was a basketball coach, and you were in Victoria at the time, and he finished his coaching contract, his coaching stint, and he was looking for the next best thing. But at the end of his coaching stint, he decides, let's go over to the US for a holiday. So he's over in the US and he finds himself, he's trying to have a holiday, but his son wants to go to just about every indoor skateboard park there is in the US.
Yeah, just about. Yeah, for sure.
And he's taken pause and thought, geez, we got one of these back home in Melbourne, but he's wanting to come back to our neck of the woods where we are, and he's thinking, I haven't seen one of these here in Brisbane. So he starts thinking, hey, my other son, which is Nels, he's sort of on a trajectory to be a basketball player in the pro leagues, and he's looking at you going, well, Sam, maybe not the basketball player. You're good at basketball, but not the basketball player. So he looks at that as an opportunity. So what happened from there when he comes home, mate?
So excuse me. We went back to Bendigo, and then from the trip, like you said, we were always I was always trying to find skate parks to go to, and then luckily enough, he said that he wanted to start an indoor skate park up in Brisbane. So we went. Basically, it was at the time I thought it was very quick. I'm sure it wasn't, but it felt like we just moved straight up here and got it going, and then we've been here ever since. Just been working at the skate park, doing stuff like that. But it's been good for my skating personally, because I've always had a place to skate.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been very lucky to have it.
Yeah, I think you have too, because there's not too many parents that say, well, this son seems to be doing what he enjoys and his passion. They wanted to give you a boost, so they go and say, well, we're looking to establish a business. Why don't we take up skating as a business? Now, not only has he taken up skating as a business, he built the park by hand. He's not a carpenter.
Yeah, no, not the slightest.
And he's done multiple jobs because he's always updating the rides.
Yeah.
He's probably about to embark on another big project too.
For sure.
So of rebuilding some rides and some new stuff. So always evolving the park, which is amazing too. He's always looking to get new rides, always looking to get new rides like any theme park, because he treats it like a theme park. But interestingly, even though it's your passion, he loves it, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, he's fully into it.
He is.
I think he really likes the individual aspect of the sport, I guess you'd say. Just being able to push yourself in something, I think he likes that. Whether whatever you're doing, really, he's going to be pretty keen. For being like his son, I think he's just pretty keen on whatever we want to do. If we're passionate about something, he's going to fully back it, which is awesome, because it works out well.
Yeah, so as far as the skate park goes, it's for scooters, skaters, bikers, and you do keep some of those separate. Speak to that a little bit. Some of the rivalry for territory on the ramps and bars and things like that amongst skaters, scooters, and bikers, and who loves who and when. It's like,
well, there's definitely this stigma against scooter riding. Just because I know everyone kind of sees it as a bit of an easy option, I guess. And then the fact that, it does attract those smaller kids, and they're a lot younger, and they haven't developed, peripheral vision. They haven't developed anything like that. So being on the skate park, you've got older dudes that are always flying around, going real quick, and then kids that are not even, essentially looking what's happening. And they're just kind of swerving around just in front of obstacles, just doing stuff that you wouldn't think like someone normally would do at a skate park. So that's why scooters kind of get that stigma as well. And then BMX, I'm a huge fan of. I think that the dudes that do that stuff are really crazy. You can't bail a BMX bike. You have to, if you're going to throw it onto the ground, it's going to bounce back at you, and it's like a heavy object. It's going to hit hard kind of thing. So I have a lot of respect for BMX. And skating also. I know
at your park that you've had some guys get quite high and almost hit the roof with their bikes.
Yeah. And scooters too. I mean, obviously, there are scooter riders out there that are doing it, and they're really good at it and stuff. But yeah, the BMX dudes are crazy. They go so high and almost we've had dudes hit the roof.
So who are some of the guys? The skate park's been visited by a few pros. Who are some of the guys that have come by and skated and also biked?
Well, I'd say the main one for skating wise would be even Tommy Finn. Mm-hmm. He's a dude that's doing it as a skateboarder. He's in that top 1% of skateboarders now. He's doing all the big comps and stuff like that. And then we've had a lot of BMXs through. Queensland and Australia in general is usually pretty progressive for BMX riding. So we've had a big number of BMX riders through the park, and the same with scooters. I think that when you get to the world stage of BMX riding and scooter riding, Australia is actually, I'd say, number one at doing it. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good. I know a name came up on one of the feeds that I saw, Ryan Williams. He's been there.
Definitely. He's made a way for himself for sure. He's got his own house and stuff like that.
I saw that your mum posted a video of him at the park at Ramp Attack. It should get that in there, Ramp Attack, the name of the park, is Ramp Attack in Brisbane. I'm sure your dad will be happy about that.
Yeah, for sure.
So the thing is, he saw that as a family business, and he also saw it as something to pass on to you because of your passion. So I guess that's a little bit exciting to know that you will potentially inherit a skate park and a business in something you absolutely love.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a great spot to have work, I guess. Obviously, the goal for skating is to not work a day job, but if I have to do that, I feel like it will just be at Ramp Attack, which is not all that bad.
Yeah.
Get to pick and choose hours, so Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about these tricks and things that... Is that what you call them? Tricks? Yeah. I'm not that naive. You call them tricks? Still call them tricks? So let's talk about that little bit of a journey. Like, I explained to you, I did do the street skating back in the 80s when we still had fishtail decks and plastics and all that stuff. I don't know whether you call that skating these days, but that's where it started.
Yep.
Tony Hawk's was riding that stuff. So, look, what about the concept of, tricks and trying to land them and the challenge for you,
Learning a new trick,
yeah,
definitely really tough. And that's a lot of what skateboarding is. It's always trying to push yourself and learn new things. And then the process is just, obviously you'll see a video or see a photo or something like that, or your friend will be doing a trick, and then you just kind of learn from there. It obviously always takes time and stuff like that, but once you get that and learn the new trick, it makes skating much more fun. You can always, it's just another trick to do essentially all the time when you want, and it's just going to make skating always more fun.
Is it like a real life video game for you where you level up?
Yeah,
it's like leveling up.
Yeah, definitely.
Feel like
for sure. Yeah. Most definitely. Obviously, because there's heaps of different obstacles at the park and stuff, and if you can do a certain amount of tricks on each obstacle, it's just going to make skating more fun. You can go up and down at the skate park and do tricks along the way, and
A bit of a side note: do games teach you anything? Like when you're playing the computer games, like skateboard games?
I'd say so. The games now are getting so technical. Like if you play, and I'm sure anyone knows the game Skate 3. But yeah, if you're watching, how they're flicking their ankles and how they're flicking their feet while you're playing, it definitely does. I'd say it helps a little bit for sure.
Yeah, and I guess you get exposed to the names of a lot of the tricks as well.
Sure.
If you're a new skater and you go and play the game, you're going to pull a trick they're all real.
Yeah.
Are there any fake ones in there? I don't know. Are there anyone that are just too unreal to believe, or they keep it?
You can do unrealistic stuff in it, but
all the tricks are doable.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah. That's. I just thought I'd go on a sidetrack and ask about that because I don't play them. I actually did play Tony Hawk's back in the day on PlayStation 1 and used to love it, and takes me back whenever I hear the tunes.
Yeah,
inside the game,
the certain music.
It's like sure. So I saw one in a movie the other day. The song and it come up. I don't even know the name of the song, but I just heard it and I'm like, oh, it took me back. Yeah. Cool. Exactly. But it wasn't a skating movie, that's for sure. But so one of the things that you mentioned to me off camera was that not only are you chasing the tricks, one of the things for you and the things that you and your mates like to do is film and take photos. And you see that a lot of guys start pretty young doing that. What's the inspiration around doing it? Why is that part of the skate culture, the filming and the photos?
Yeah, it's definitely, I'd say the biggest aspect of skateboarding in my eyes. Just because when you're a kid, you get a DVD, or you see a clip online, and you see people, pushing themselves and making videos, and obviously you just think, I want to do that too. You obviously find friends at the skate park and then go from there. It's definitely like really, really challenging going out and doing that stuff. It doesn't come easy, but that's what makes it so fun. It's just pushing yourself and trying to film towards like a video, either if it's like just yourself, like a single part, or if it's like a full, body of work, all your mates all have, the same amount of footage together, and then you put it together, what's called like a full length video. Obviously they take a lot of time, but when you see the finished product, it's just the best feeling, having like all your mates there and that you've all worked really hard towards something. It's just, the best.
Who are some of the better guys you've worked with that filming and things out here in Australia?
I'd say like the two filmers that I've filmed with the most, actually three, would be my mate Aaron Brown, Harry Pascoe, and Pat Gemzik. They're all really, really talented at what they do, and they're also really talented on a skateboard.
Yep.
I feel like all three of them, like the filming aspect and like the creative side of how you can put clips together and what you can do with it. So,
is it important that the guys that are doing the production understand the tricks that you're trying to do to get the right angles? So
definitely.
They have to be. You do want skaters doing that more or less, doing the filming as well.
Yeah, for sure. And same with the photography. They've got the eye for it because they have this background in skateboarding. They know they know what it's supposed to look like and how it's supposed to look. So yeah, having that background definitely like helps in filming and taking photos. Yeah.
Who are some of the photographers you've worked with?
I've mainly worked with Henry Harbeck. He's basically take that back. Enrico. Can't pronounce his last name, but he's a very good friend of mine.
Yes.
And yeah, I've worked with mainly those two dudes. They've been really, really awesome to work with. I mean, it doesn't really feel like work. You know, we're really good friends. We go out on the weekend and we just say, you know, we want to try this, and they're like, yeah, I'll shoot it, kind of thing. And then they always come up with the goods. They always like the photos look amazing every time.
Yeah. So how do you guys work on a location to actually shoot some of these videos and the photos and things, like where you decide and what determines where you actually go?
Well, you can get it from like a number of different ways. Mostly you obviously see other people in the same area as you film and, you know, release videos and stuff. And then just by like word of mouth, like through people, you find out where it is. And then what the dudes that I film with do, they take a photo of the spot and then the location's on your phone. So then we know exactly where it is for as long as they have that photo album, essentially. So yeah, it just comes through doing that. And then, you know, if you've got the certain trick that you want to try, the spot is like, you know, you'll be able to do it at the certain spot, and then you just go from there.
So you look at the photo and what's running through your mind when you see one of these photos that these guys send you?
Firstly, it's like really cool spot. And then obviously once you get there in person, everything's always bigger, or there's a crack at the front of the run up, which you have to deal with. It's always harder in person, but when I get the photo, I think, you know, like this certain trick will work at this spot. Yeah.
So when you finally get to a location for the film shoot or photo shoot, what do you actually what's your approach? You said some guys, again off camera, you said some guys just do their lines, you call them lines, and they can go straight into the trick that they want to do. You tend to do a bit of a run through and a...
Yeah, definitely. Some dudes just have it. They know how to... They've got it down. They know what they're doing. I personally like to, you know, just maybe try something a little easier on the obstacle first. Say if it's like a set of stairs that I'm going to jump down, just ollie it first, which is essentially just jumping down it with your board. And then maybe try, depending on how big it is, try a trick that you're really comfortable with, and then try something that you want to film. Or usually, you know, just ollie it and then go straight to what you're trying. And then it's just trial and error from there, how you flip the board or whatever, and when it's ready to land, then you'll obviously land it.
Yeah, so it's a lot of failure involved?
Yeah, definely.
How long can it take you to land a trick in a photo or a film?
Me personally, I take ages. I don't know why. I guess it's really hard to, you know, bring yourself to, when you're jumping down something big, it's really hard to bring yourself to actually land and what's called commit to landing on the trick. It hurts a lot less if you commit straight away, but for some reason your brain just tells you, you know, if it's there ready to land, if you get the catch, what's called, when you do the trick, catch it in the air, I'll usually kick it away just because you just get scared. It is what it is. So yeah, it takes me anywhere between, I mean, I've had tricks where I've done them, you know, first, second try, but I've had tricks that have taken me 4 hours. I've had certain tricks that have gone to the same spot again and again, like over 8 times to get, of 3-hour lots.
Yeah, so you're not defeated by a location then. If you think a trick is there to be had on that location, you're chasing it.
Yeah, definitely. Usually because, you know, it usually comes down to fatigue. If you're trying something for 3-4 hours, you're gonna get sore. So, you know, you just come back next time, you're fresh, you got fresh legs, you know what you have to do, and then it usually becomes easier from there.
Yeah, so you did throw in the word there, you know, it can hurt landing some tricks. Yeah. So speak to that mindset that you could get hurt. Like, and I know off camera you said that you've had injuries that have put you out for up to a month. So, you know, how do you get back? Some people just probably wouldn't get back on, but that's probably, I guess, why these are categorized as extreme sports, is because there is a higher risk of injury, but mentally you have to have a good amount of capacity to overcome the fear.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the best part about skating, is when when you are pushing yourself like on physically and mentally, because it is scary to commit to these tricks, the feeling of rolling away from like said tricks is just amazing, and it's the best feeling. That's why we go through the pain of like getting injured or something like that, but it's all just to get the feeling of the roll away from, you know, the tricks. It's the best.
Yeah. So you've got your support crew there when you land a really hard trick. You often see it in the videos where they're all cheering and they know the difficulty of the trick. So go back a little bit again to when you were younger. You started to enter some competitions. What was the advantage of those competitions, and what does that do for you when you're trying to move yourself forward in landing tricks and developing your skating repertoire? Yeah.
Well, most of the comps are based on a consistency, like a consistent run. That's how most comps are based. So just in itself, if you can ride around the park for, say, 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes, landing tricks consistently, it's obviously going to better your skills in skating. And it's also just a really fun day out at the comps. You see a lot of skating that, you know, from people from, say, out of town coming to skate the park. They skate differently, obviously, because everyone skates a bit different. And you just see how people use the park differently, and it doesn't even really feel like a competition. Like, you know, in your age bracket, you know most of the kids in your area. So it's just a fun day, and then you could get something for free at the end of it. And then there's also the older dudes that are, you know, trying to like make a way in skating, and they know what they're doing and they're really good at it. And then you can see how they skate the park and how their use of it could change and, like, you know, kind of develop your use of the park and how you want to skate. Yeah.
And does it help you having those guys that aren't in the local area coming in? Is there a bit of sharing going on, and that's where you get to know other guys and potentially go visit their parks and things? It's sort of...
Yeah, definitely. There's dudes that, you know, like anywhere from the southeast Queensland basically will come to these comps, and like I said, because everyone skates differently, and their use of the park is different. There's a lot of sharing going on. Like, everyone's like nice in skateboarding, everyone's like a good person. If you just ask them, like blatantly ask them, like, oh, how do you do that? They'll, you know, 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, oh yeah, just like got to do this, and then work it out from there.
So starting at the basics, what's the sort of evolution? What's the basic tricks that you have to get down to get some of the harder ones?
You definitely have to start out with, well, I'd say like board control is huge in skateboarding. So you got to learn how to maneuver your board and how to be on top of your board and, you know, roll down ramps and drop in, which is where you plant the tail of the board and then push down the front of it and roll down it. After that, I'd say is like an ollie, where you just jump up in the air. Just because that helps. Like, you have to essentially ollie to do any trick in skateboarding. So if you have good like footwork and good like comfortability on your board, and then you can ollie well, you can do a lot of things from there, and then that's how you learn how to do stuff like a kick flip and a heel flip and stuff like that.
Have you counted how many tricks you've got in your arsenal now of tricks? Have you ever counted to work out what you actually can do consistently?
No, not really, to be honest. Stuff that I can do consistently, I mean, there's all slight variations on tricks. So there is, like, I'd say there's a few that I can do like on a consistent basis, and there's also different obstacles in the skate park. So there's stuff like, you know, like a quarter pipe, which is like a ramp, and then you've got, you know, like hundreds of different tricks that you can possibly do on it. I mean, I'm not saying that I can do that, but and then there's rails, there's ledges, there's, you know, manual pads, there's all sorts of different things. So if you add them all together, like if you add them all up, I can get myself around a skate park, you know. So.
And that's just a skate park, and then you guys decide that the world's your skate park.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, definitely.
And you win no friends there with security guards and police officers at times. You see that on YouTube quite a bit.
Yeah.
So any encounters out on the streets circuits and with where you've confronted those situations where people are saying you shouldn't be here?
Most definitely. It happens every weekend.
Yeah.
There's been some ones that come to mind that are like pretty hectic. But yeah, we deal with, you know, police or security guards or even just everyday people just having like a power trip, basically, just trying to get you out of there for no reason.
Do you see it as a power trip? Do you really feel like there's no harm to anyone in some of these places that you are at, and you feel it is that power trip?
Yeah, personally, yeah, for sure. I mean, we've been to skate spots before that have been, like out the back of basically like a ditch where water just runs through and people walking past, get on their high horse about it. But I mean, it doesn't discourage us for sure. There's always spots out there. So
yeah. That's pretty good. So let's talk about the competitions that you've sort of done well in, and when you started to win some.
So when I was a bit younger, obviously did all the comps and stuff. There was one comp called like the Vulcan Wild in the Parks, and did that when I was a bit younger, and fortunately enough got third in that one, which is like the southeast Queensland based one. And then from there the top 3 qualify to go down to Sydney, which was at Waterloo Skate Park. And then I think I made the finals or something. I can't really remember where I came, but I was so essentially third, I guess, in Queensland. But
so that's not too bad. Your journey's seen you're trying to get sponsored and sponsorships. I believe you've actually got a sponsor now. Is that correct? Or
not? Lucky enough to have a couple. Yeah, for sure.
So you're picking up sponsorships, so you're getting noticed now. One of your goals is to actually get to the States too. That you feel that if you got to have a crack at some of those, you want to get back there, mate, and skate some of those indoor parks, definitely. But also make a name for yourself as an Aussie skater over there.
Yeah, for sure. The dream is obviously to skate and not have to work 9 to 5.
What a dream, mate. Yeah. That's not a job.
And just the most accessible place is just to be over in the west coast of LA. That's where skating started. It's where the industry is.
Yeah.
It's where all the spots are. It's where everyone is in skateboarding. So to be over there would be the best thing. But also, staying in Australia is also cool. There's a massive, massive scene here as well. But it would be nice to one day get over to the States.
Who's the best skater you've actually skated with and hung out with?
I'd say Tommy. Yeah, Tommy Finn. He's actually, he grew up in the Bay Area, Cleveland Bay in Brisbane, and he's legit. He knows how to ride a skateboard.
So tell us about some of the skate parks you've skated, and which ones are your favourites and why, mate?
I got to like you said, I got to go over to the States when I was a bit younger. And skated Westchester Park, which was in LA somewhere. Can't really remember. And same with, it's pretty funny, it's called Stoner Skate Park as well.
Yes.
They're just really, really, really good skate parks. Built really well. All the sizing of everything is, really made just really nice. And it's what I was into and still am at the time skating wise. It's all ledges and rails and stuff like that.
Is that a public skate park? Is it an indoor one or an outdoor one? What are they? Are they indoor, outdoor?
Yeah, they were public, outdoor skate parks. They're just, built. I think they were designed by skateboarders that, most parks are, obviously. All parks are. But they were just built really well. The sizing of everything was made really nice. Everything was spaced out and laid correctly. And then over here in Australia, I've skated some real fun parks. I mean, I've been to Melbourne a couple of times, and down in Melbourne they have great parks everywhere. There's the City Park, which is the Riverside Skate Park, which is in the Botanical Gardens there. Same thing, it's really spaced out, really built well, ledges everywhere, which is really fun to skate for me. I'd say those 3.
If you weren't a skater, do you think you'd go into the skate park design? Your dad owns one. Does he take your feedback on what you want or what you think will work?
I mean, in terms of the design and stuff, I have had a little bit of input with Ramp Attack. I wouldn't say I'm a great skateboard designer. I'm just basing it off what I think is fun to skate.
Yeah.
And I've got, a number of mates that like to skate the same thing. So I'm just basing it off what I kind of like and what'll fit well within, reason, I guess.
Yeah. So what sort of categories are there in skating? I know back in the day when I called myself a skater, which was a teenager, we had street skate, vert, and freestyle. Now they all seem to have combined because freestyle was just doing flips and tricks on the spot. Street skating was literally hitting the streets and not skating where you're supposed to.
Yeah.
And ramp, or vert, we call it vert, was ramps and normally your local skate parks and trying to get the council to build one, because back then they weren't as prevalent.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'd say it's about still the same. You know, you've got your street skaters. Bowl is like a thing. Dudes that, you know, rip around pools and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And vert skating as well. But what you find now with skateboarders is everyone's really, really good because there's so much like access to videos and stuff with the internet. Everyone sees what everyone's doing all the time.
Yeah.
And everyone sees, you know, a different amount of skate clips, so everyone can ride everything. There's obviously still the genres of skateboarding, but usually like people that are pushing it and stuff like that, they can ride anything.
Yeah, because that's what I noticed is they were all fairly separate back in the day. Yeah, if I can say it, and not give my age away, but they were separate. So we didn't see each other as the same. You rode one of those, but I noticed these days it translates across all. Like if you're a skater, then you're engaged in probably all three, and you're talking about preference for certain rides though. So what you said, you like to ride ledges and rails and things like that. So what are some of the other things that guys like to do? Like you talk about jumping stairs. Yeah. So are there categories that certain guys favour?
Yeah, definitely. In like the pro skating and stuff like that, they all have their like field, which they're certain thing that they're really good at. But because all the skate parks now, they cater to everyone, and they're all built really well, and they're everywhere because skateboarding is growing all the time. They have access to ride whatever they want at the skate park. So that's why everyone kind of becomes really, really good at like every certain thing, because it's just all at the skate park. It's real accessible. Yeah.
For you, what's the best ride you've ever experienced, like as far as that you really like the design of it and wish that you had it at Ramp Attack?
Well, actually, even locally, Bracken Ridge, the Convict skate park's built that one, and it's really, really cool. It's like like half the park is basically symmetrical, so no matter what stance you're on a skateboard, you can ride it each way.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just really designed well. It caters to what I like as well. There's a lot of ledges, a lot of rails and stuff like that.
So what are the stances? I vaguely remember we had terminology like goofy foot and things like that. So what are the terminologies? Are they still the same, or are they?
Yeah, so you got the two stances, which is goofy and regular. So goofy is right foot forward, goofy, which is right foot forward, and regular, which is left foot forward. Yeah. And then within those stances, you have 4 other stances. So you've got your regular stance, whether you're goofy or regular. You've got your switch stance, which is the other foot's forward. You've got nollie and fakie. So nollie is essentially riding forwards in your normal stance, but you're popping off the front of the board.
Yes.
And then fakie is just going backwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember all those. So those terms are still the same.
Yep.
It's quite difficult. I used to nollie, so I used to lift the board from the front going forwards.
Yeah.
So which is very hard to maintain balance.
Extremely.
Yeah. So I could throw some of the tricks at you that I used to do. So 180 ollies. Used to stalls off those.
Yeah.
Do the nollies, so anything like that. Kick flip, heel flip I was only getting. But as I said, this is why I asked about failure and hurting yourself is I went down quite a large hill after all my mates went down with street skaters. And I probably chose the largest hill in my area to go down, and I like loose trucks. So I had really loose trucks. I didn't like tight trucks. So I get the speed wobbles at the end of this hill and bail. And I rolled. I'm lucky a car wasn't coming the other way. I must say it plays through my mind even to this day. But it was enough for me to when I got up and my friends are saying, "Dude, your bones are coming through your elbow," which they weren't. I was just fat. But when you hear those words and you're literally running home with your arm hanging down, and they're telling you that you sort of go, maybe skating's not for me. But I wasn't smart enough to stop, because at age 24, my mate and I went and bought some scooters and skateboards, and we get chased in Brisbane and South Bank and those areas. by security, so we sort of been there, done that.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I see it today, and I always would like to get on a board again, but I also know that my balance isn't there. I'll probably just fall on my ass and give everyone a laugh. But
Yeah.
but it's something that, like anything, you experience something like that. I know that you go for hours. You literally jump on a deck, and you could leave at 9 with your mates, and you're not coming home till it's dark. And if you can push it that little bit more, you would. So I understand that experience. I could go for and get lost for days riding when I was a teenager. So let's talk about who are some of the guys today. Like in my day, I remember Tony Hawk's probably more for the games, but the names do fail me of who those guys were in those days. But who's prevalent today? Who are we looking at as a skater? Who are you looking out for in the pro ranks around the world?
Definitely looking out for. So there's a comp called Street League, and that's the top 1% of the street skateboarders. You're looking out for names like Niger. He's, killing it. Wins every single comp. He's pretty young too. He's only like 22 or something like that. But he's just really, really good, really clutch. Essentially, can just do tricks when it's needed. Niger, Shane O'Neill, who's Australian. A bunch of different dudes. I mean, they're like, I'm drawing blanks here, but there's heaps of guys. Anyone that's in that street league skateboarding is who you're looking at for.
Who are you seeing on the streets of Brisbane that you reckon's up and coming, that sort of your older guys are looking at going, gee, this guy's all right?
Well, one of my mates that I'm skating with at the moment, Riley Pavey, is really, really good at what he does. He's 17.
Yeah.
And he's like extremely good. Can learn tricks in like 20 minutes and then just has it on lock.
Do you hate people like that?
No, not really. Like, I mean, obviously, like you want to see your mates do well.
Yeah.
It's just I just trip on it because I'm like, how can you do that? How can you learn a trick and then just have it straight away?
Straight away.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely weird. But
yeah. So let's talk about complexity of tricks.
Mm-hmm.
What sort of tricks are you doing these days? What's your hardest trick that you've either perfected, or let's talk about one that you perfected that took you a while to get. What's one of the tricks that you've got that took you a while to get?
One that I'm really comfortable on is it's not on like a ledge or anything. You can do it, just flat ground or downstairs. It's called a backside big spin.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially the board just does a 360 and you do a 180.
Oh yeah. So that's you turning in the air while the board's flipping.
So the board will turn this way 360 and you'll also do a 180.
Okay.
Just been doing it for a very long time. When I was a lot younger, I didn't really have the strength in my legs to flip my board around and stuff. So I just found it a lot, not easier. I just found it, that tad bit easier to spin my board and spin with it. So that's one that I'm really comfortable on. There's also a couple others, but I'd say that's the one that I'm most comfortable on.
What's the one that keeps getting away that you keep trying to land? You're struggling with it, you know.
Geez, there's a lot.
There's a lot, yeah.
Lately, I've just been trying to work on flipping into grinds. So like doing a kick flip and then grinding.
Yes.
Obviously, kick flip 50-50, which is where both your trucks are on the ledge, is a bit easier. But then there's like I said, there's heaps of variations of tricks. Like kickflip nose grinds I've been trying lately, but I just can't seem to quite land it. But I mean, it's a game of inches, like every flip that you do can be like a slight bit off, and that causes you not to lock in your grind how you want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a case when you land a trick, after you've landed, does it just become easier? Does it lock into your brain that trick? So you could go for ages and ages and ages and not land it, then you land it. Do you then find that the learning from that one land accelerates into consistency?
Definitely, because you know how it felt, how the land felt, and how what your feet position have to be and where you have to lock it in and where your weight has to be, like on, say, the ledge when you're grinding or something like that. So the land, like definitely getting the first initial land helps a lot. I wouldn't say you have it on lock straight away. I mean, some dudes do, some of my mates do, but yeah, the initial land definitely helps because, you obviously, how it feels, how it has to be done.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you run back and look at the video when you land one? You asking guys to replay for you on the spot, or nah? You just know you're going to see it later?
I mean, when we're out filming, we'll all watch it over because it's obviously a different view of how it was done to
Yes.
when, yourself is doing it. And then, but I also, look at how people do tricks on videos and stuff like that. Look how they flick their ankle. Or
Do you
look where
slow them down? Do you actually slow video down to assess do you go that
I've
far?
gone through frame by frame before.
Yeah.
For people, yeah, definitely. Because there's stuff that you really want to learn, and there's such a number of different things to learn a trick. Is like what, like I said before, like where your feet have to be, where your shoulders have to be, where your weight has to be. There's so many different elements to learning a single trick. So going through it frame by frame, you obviously get like how someone else does it. You kind of get more of an idea how the trick's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at what point when you're executing the trick do you realise it's going south? On some of these, like, is it pretty quick? You just know when you're taking off that this isn't going to end well?
Yeah, for sure. When you're out filming and stuff, it's fun. It sounds ridiculous, but sometimes you know the one. Like as soon as you pop that ollie, you know the one that you're gonna land.
Yeah.
And you definitely know the ones that you're not gonna land. Just from like it, and like I said before, it's like a game of inches. Like if your weight's slightly forward or slightly back, then it can cause harm to yourself for sure.
Yeah. So what's the end game for you? What's your dream with this?
With skating, oh, definitely. I mean, obviously, the main one is that you want to be a professional skateboarder. You want to see your name on a board. But I mean, just as I've like gotten a little older and stuff like that. That sounds funny to say, but as I've gotten like a tiny bit older in skating, I just want to skate. That's all I want to do. And obviously, when you're pro, you're getting checks and you're getting paid from your sponsors. So that is the easiest way to do it. There obviously is other ways. But I just want to skate all the time. I just find it so fun. So whenever I can do it, I just love it. Yeah.
So if you had a marketing pitch, why should people sponsor skaters?
Well, obviously a look. Like you gotta have a look to yourself. Like, but.
So what are the main sponsors?
Yeah.
What are who are sponsoring skaters? Is probably a first question, I guess.
Well, it all starts. So there's a number of sponsors you can get, but obviously the main ones are like a shoe sponsor and a board sponsor.
Yes.
Obviously there's a lot of skate brands out there, and particularly now there is a lot of skateboard brands out there, but there's also the big shoe companies have gotten on board with skating, like Nike, Adidas, Converse,
Sure.
New Balance, stuff like that. And then there's obviously your skate shoe brands within skating as well.
So who are those? I know that for me, the second time I skated, it was Etny and DC and Vans.
Yeah, so
Are they still brands floating around?
definitely. Etnies still kills it. DC as well, and Vans. I think DC and Vans are going to be, and Etnies as
They're
well are going
forever.
to. Yeah, they've been
Big on the
around for
market.
like 25, 30 years.
The first stint in skating was Cons, so we were in Converse All Stars, and they bringing out all these camoed ones and different colours, and I think you can still get those, and I think everyone refers to that stuff as retro today, but they canvases. They're very comfortable skate shoe.
Yeah.
Used to love wearing holes in the front of them.
Yeah.
How many shoes do you get? That's probably why you need shoe sponsors.
Yeah, because you go through, like, I mean, shoes aren't cheap. You go, any skate shoe can cost anywhere between, like, 70 to, like, now $150. And
because you're wearing them down.
Yeah.
They're an expense for a skater, isn't just their deck. So that's probably why the two main things. And you talk about having a look. So there are clothing brands as well associated with skating. You're sporting a shirt at the moment there called Folklore. So do you want to talk a little bit about who these guys are and how they've supported you?
Yeah, so they're an Aussie-based company. They make skateboards, like the actual decks. They're based over in Perth, but the team manager is actually from Brisbane as well. And yeah, so just going through the process of, like I said before, like filming and stuff like that. And then you give your footage to these said team managers, and then they make the decision whether they want to back you or not. And I've been lucky enough to have Folklore give me some free stuff along the way, which makes expenses like a lot easier. Because if you're skating, like if most skateboarders that are really into it are skating every day, and it's only going to be so long that a skateboard lasts you. Either you break it or it's just worn down completely that you can't really use it. So and that can last like a skateboard a week usually.
Yeah.
If you're doing what skateboarders are doing, like every weekend, you're going out and filming, you're skating these places that aren't meant for skateboarding, it's going to ruin your skateboard. It's going to ruin stuff like that. So to have dudes that, you know, give you skateboards and stuff, it cuts the cost down of like living essentially a lot.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, no, it's something I wasn't aware of, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
But how do you know when your board's done other than it's broken? And I've seen a few videos of guys snapping their boards. So.
It all depends. I mean, obviously, I don't really like breaking skateboards deliberately because you want to make them last. These dudes are giving you stuff to ride. But I mean, it can, you know, it's like a blurry line where that one is, because obviously some sponsors give their riders more boards. So and if that's so, you know, you can set up, you know, a board a week or whatever. I tend to usually try and make my boards last like a week and a half, something like that, because like I said, going out and skating street can what's called chip the end of your skateboard like really badly. So then that's going to affect how the board pops off the ground and stuff like that. Yeah.
So first stint that I skated, we used plastics. And you guys have probably seen that stuff, and that was designed to protect our boards.
Yeah.
And they helped, instead of waxing, you know, ledges and stuff like that. Yeah. The plastics provided the slide.
Yeah.
Why is that still not the case today? Like, what is it, making the board lighter, or is it just a look? Why do you think plastics aren't in play these days?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. But I know that there is still like little things that you can add to your skateboard, like what's called rails, which are plastic rails that go up the edge of your board. A lot of dudes ride that, but it makes the board heavier as well. You want to have like a good happy medium, essentially, of how heavy your board is and how long it lasts, kind of thing. Because there is, even the dudes at Folklore, they make boards with carbon fiber sheets on the top layer of ply.
Okay.
So that's going to keep it stiffer for longer and last longer and stuff like that. Yeah.
So I know I could probably answer the question. I know that when we had plastics, you'd screw them into the underside of the board. They had to be screwed into the wood.
Yeah.
And you could be sliding or doing a trick, and the rail would just come off.
Yeah,
exactly. Just
right.
chew a hole, the thread of the thing, and what we call them, kick poppers or something.
Like the big piece that went on the end? Yeah, I'm not too sure.
So we had nose protectors and those things like that. Anywhere your board could get more or less chipped.
Yeah.
You know, if you hit the tail down and you drag it to thing, that was something else I was quite good at. I'll just remind manuals. I could go for ages on it.
Manuals are tough.
Yeah, I used to love doing manuals, and I could just wobble the board and just keep going.
Yeah, awesome.
They were one of my favourite thing to do, because you just get going and then just lift the nose and off you go.
Good to go.
You're fakey go the other way, and you know. So, but even talking to you, it's annoying because it just shows you I loved the same as you would. Just thinking about doing that, it's sort of. It's gee, I wish I could do that again. You know, what's the oldest guy you've seen out on a skateboard? Actually, maybe I can make a comeback.
I've seen dudes that kill it. I mean, there's a crew of dudes called the I'm drawing a blank. Old Man Skate Crew. And they're based in Brizzy. They're dudes that have, you know, they're dads. They're like 40, 50, like plus even. There's heaps of dudes out there that have skated just their whole life, and they just still love it, love doing it. So they get out there and have a dig.
Yeah, that's all right. Hope for me yet. I just sort of it's funny talking about the things, like there's other things, and the names failed me of the things that I could do. You know, on a skateboard, I didn't have many things that I could do, but I loved the getting out. So I certainly can relate to the experience that you've had. But so the ideal, I guess, is if you're getting some of that equipment from your sponsors to reduce the costs for the day-to-day, the goal would probably to be get sponsors that are giving money towards your living expenses is the next step, if you're not already getting some of that. What do you think? So while there are people within the skate culture, what would be the advantage of someone in business for you? Because you do video and photos. What's the advantage for someone else potentially jumping on board and helping you out with your costs and things like that, from a marketing perspective, what would you say to someone who potentially is looking for a platform to market to young people?
As in, so someone that you're like is going to help you out with?
To help you do what you do. So interestingly, in art, like artists, there's what they call Patreon, is a website for artists where people actually donate money for people to be able to do their art. So in a way, like the way you've been speaking in our discussion, you're describing similar things to artists in that they fail, and I was interviewed an artist and I interviewed a director recently, and they talk about all the failures to arrive at a end result, like their end product, whether it be a painting or a film, like filmmakers, a film. So for me, the conversation is around, it's similar to, it's actually an art form is the way I see it. If you're doing video and you're producing photos, what I see is that stuff gets shared on social media. So potentially sponsors who want to jump on board, if you're spruiking their brand, it wouldn't matter whether they're a skate brand or not. If the demographic they're targeting is actually younger people, you know, because that is, I mean, is even though we all have these experiences of skating and you want to do it as a career, and you've said some adults still skate, obviously there is a point where a lot of people give it up, like as I did, but there's a market there that you guys have got all these eyes on you, and that's the advantage for a marketing group or sponsors. So so are there other people outside of, you know, your skate brands sponsoring people?
Definitely. I mean, not personally myself, but there are, just because, you know, it's getting so big, it's speaking to a lot of people. There's definitely pros out there that have sponsors that aren't within skateboarding. A main one that comes to mind is like energy drinks.
Yes.
A lot of skateboarders are, because, you know, they're all based around like an action sports kind of team. So a lot of skateboarders are getting energy drink sponsors, and obviously like a big price tag comes along with that. If someone that's winning competitions and putting content out there, like getting in magazines, filming videos and stuff, a company can ultimately like capitalize on that, and they're going to pay, you know, a pretty top dollar for those dudes to wear their stuff. Yeah,
it'd probably be cheaper than paying for some other forms of advertising to get the same sort of reach.
For sure.
If there's anyone that wants to sponsor Sam Larkins here, that's looking for reach, because that's what it is. Ultimately, marketing's around putting something in front of people, and if there's a broad audience and people are watching your stuff, then there is a market for that. If you can say my videos are getting X amount of views, then that's a viewership and an audience that a sponsor can tap into, and that's the advantage for you young guys that are trying to make a crack, you know, doing something that you're passionate about. All right, Sam Larkins, a pro skater, I'm going to call you. I'm sure that the evolution of the sport for you is that you're headed in that trajectory, and you're constantly working on it, and you're still young enough to make it. So wish you luck with your skating.
Thank you.
And thanks for giving me the time and coming in and sharing your passion with us, mate.
Thank you for having me. It was a really fun chat. I'm glad that we did it.
No worries.
Thanks,
mate. Thanks for taking time to watch this video. If you enjoyed what you saw, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you smash that subscribe button, and also hit the bell button to get notified when new interviews are uploaded. Once again, thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you again sometime. Catch you later.